Hi, this is Samantha. So, when reading the predictors of counselors accurately diagnosing obsessive compulsive disorder, which is OCD, and recommending OCD specific for the EM or ESTM support treatments. So, the summary of this article is that OCD is frequently misdiagnosed and not treated properly with EST, resulting in negative consequences, which ended up being mixed findings using medical model framework. The purpose of this was to examine the rate of counselors in the United States that accurately diagnosed OCD, identifying the predictors, examining the rate of the counselors who used EST properly. So in this article, they are discussing how they took like online surveys and for counselors with people that had OCD or they diagnosed the OCD. And so the online survey, they had ended up getting 62.3% who were diagnosed accurately within the survey, and then there was 83.8% who recommended the OCD specific for using the EST treatment. And so when they take in the survey and they're doing this to find out if, counselors are actually diagnosing the OCD correctly according to the DSM-5, and if they actually fall within the recommendations for being diagnosed for OCD. The DSM-5 specifically lists out, certain criteria to be diagnosed with the OCD. So when you're diagnosing someone, yes, they may have like certain symptoms and things like that, but to give them a correct diagnosis, they have to end up, falling within the category of the DSM-5. And with the survey, it shows, that 62.3%, like I said, were accurately diagnosed with OCD. So when they're doing their diagnosing, only 62.3% is actually accurate. So in the United States, according to the survey. And when they are diagnosed, the 83.8% is actually doing the ESTM specific work for the OCD. So when they are being diagnosed, it's over half, but it's not, closer to all of them being correctly diagnosed. And then when they are treated, it is close to, a higher rate that they're actually accurately doing work to help them with the OCD. So with the results of supporting the OCD treatment remains as an issue, with counselors contributing to the counselors needing to improve public awareness of what OCD is and the correct, accurate diagnosis of OCD. And then also they need to, practice diagnosing it correctly. In the article, it states, that they need proper training to be able to diagnose this and to treat OCD with EST. And within this, they can do assessments, to practice and to understand the diagnosis according to the DSM-5, and they can, sit there and start taking like the surveys and getting the information to see if, when they're working on the program and everything and understanding and doing these classes and doing treatments and doing training and practices and stuff, if they're actually improving with the awareness and with properly diagnosing OCD, rather than just giving someone a diagnosis because that's what the requirement is to continue therapy, is you have to give them a diagnosis. So like within certain branches, like Medicaid, things like that, they require to continue treatment and counseling and things with a diagnosis. And some people just throw that diagnosis because they have a few symptoms and stuff. And I think that's what the problem is within this summary of this article, is that there needs to be more information and correct diagnosis to be able to treat properly what OCD is. And so, having the obsessive compulsive disorder, we can't treat that if it's not actually properly being diagnosed. So that's why there's like mixed reviews on this, and why there's lack of, you know, more properly being diagnosed. And the good thing is, though, when it is being diagnosed, they are being treated with the OCD correctly by using EST correctly. So within this, you know, it just kind of helps you understand that it is important to diagnose correctly, and in order to treat people correctly and everything. So not jumping quickly to the DSM-5 diagnosis because they have a few symptoms, but correctly following the guidelines of the DSM-5 and diagnosing correctly. Thank you.